All right, we are back here on the podcast. NFL season's finally here. We are getting ready for the season today. We're going to do our annual NFL over-under picks, and we found Joe Daloisio once again. Joe's back with us. Joe, how are you?
Mike, when I heard from you, I figured it's almost football season. I didn't need to look at the calendar to tell me that it's almost football season, but when I got that text saying, "Hey, bud, over unders," it got me excited. I'm glad to be here. Glad to see you. Glad to know that you're doing well. So again, as always, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on here. And I got to admit, football has kind of snuck up on me this year because, like, obviously, like the two baseball teams got a lot of attention. I am trying to get myself into football. I'm moving, watching, like, I talked about this last week on the pod. It's like a spam load of like documentaries and docu-series out right now about football from last year. I've been trying to watch some of those to get in the mood.
One of those Netflix's quarterback.
I have not gotten to that one yet, actually.
Yeah, I dipped into it. Obviously, there's Hard Knocks, which I got to be honest,
The bad one this year.
not doing it for me this year.
Yeah, the Bills are boring.
Yeah, the juice is not there like it usually is. I mean, obviously, that opening scene, the sprinkler going off. I mean, it always gets you a little excited. But outside of that, there hasn't been much. But as always, we blink and it's here. I mean, the NFL does an incredible job of dominating the entire calendar year. There's always something that's going on, and even when there's a dead time, they figure out a way to get some activity and get people excited. And here we are approaching September, and football is literally right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I even think on Hard Knocks. I mean, just the last like few weeks alone, no, like at Netflix, they had like one on college football in the SEC last year. I thought that was pretty good. The ESPN did the Kingdom one on the Chiefs. The Netflix Cowboys one is out. And then there's some strange Jets one on Prime. It's like about like players and their wives from last year. I'm like, that one's not really for me. The other three seem to work.
Well, the timing is everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, let's release these as we get closer to the start of the football season. Similar to you get the juices flowing, you get hooked, and you're right into the year. By the way, I mean a lot of the games that we're going to be watching in some capacity are going to be on these streaming platforms. So let's just tune you in and kind of promote what we're going to be giving you in a month or so.
Absolutely here. So let's get to our NFL over-unders here for the season. Joe won for the first time last year in our series, so he beat me last year. So
It doesn't happen often, so
yeah,
here we are.
yeah, I had a very bad year. I think we were like 2-4 in the over-unders here, and Mr. Rogers really screwed me in one of those.
Wow. Mr. Rogers often likes to do that to people.
Yeah, he certainly does. So reset, we're doing three overs, three unders. We are doing it based on lines from Yahoo Sports, put out an article on day of recording August 26th with the NFL over-under win totals here. And I noticed that there was like a couple on the top, and then there's like a lot in that like 8-7 range. Like there's like I feel like the middle of the league feels mushy this year.
I'm glad you said that because what that tells me is nobody knows,
Yeah.
right? All those teams kind of bunched in between that 6.5, 8.5 range. I mean, everyone, it's up for grab, right? And I think everybody is thinking the same thing without like saying it, but it's obvious for those teams what those flaws could be, or what could lead to their success.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead here and but as we do tradition, three overs, three unders. You want to set a stakes or a wager for this? Or you want to just go in just for fun this year?
I mean, I feel guilty about setting stakes for wagers here because I don't think we have had the opportunity, or at least I've had the opportunity to even pay you back for the last few years that I've lost. So where do we stand?
I think last year wiped out one. I think because like I evened out with you for one of those.
Okay, so I owe you still one sandwich.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so we got to get that done.
Yeah. Well,
This,
I'll be in New Rochelle plenty, so we can figure this out.
yeah, we got to figure this out because this is outrageous. Whether we actually sit down together and eat it, or I just deliver it to the production truck, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I don't like having debt,
Yeah.
so we get this settled.
Let's also let's get good. Let's change this up a little bit in terms of the sandwich here. Let's go with preferred coffee order from Dunkin' or Starbucks is your
Oh, okay.
my answer.
Nice and easy, no problem.
Yeah, because they could say, "Hey Joe, like you won. Like I'm running the Dunkin' in the morning. What do you want?" Like that's a nice and easy one.
Nice and easy. Perfect. I like the way that you're thinking today.
All right, so and speaking of the coffee, like we are recording on the day that the Starbucks drinks came out for the fall, so I have some pumpkin going on here.
You're already diving into the pumpkin.
I love the pumpkin.
We're not even in September, Mike. I know it may feel in New York, it feels like it's, the fall, but come on, the pumpkin already.
I mean, like the weather got me in the mood for it.
But you know what the issue with this is, you start drinking the pumpkin drinks. My wife's gonna start saying, let's get the Halloween decorations out. My
It's time
my
to time to go apple picking.
Our living room is gonna look like Thanksgiving already. I can't. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it, and I'm definitely not ready for pumpkin anything.
You're not ready to go plant apple picking yet either.
No, I'm not, and I know that's right around the corner. Family activities. The son is one. He went apple picking when he didn't even know what an apple is. Probably still struggling to figure it out. But hey, I'm a family man. When the wife says let's go apple picking, we're gonna go apple picking.
Yeah, if you want a good apple picking recommendation, I'll give you one off the air. If there's a place to check out, like up by me. But
All right, I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
all right, so let's go to the this numbers here: three overs, three unders. Since you won, I'll give you the choice. Would you like to have the first pick or the second and third pick? So we'll go snake after that.
Give me the snake. Give me the second and third.
All right, so I'm up first here. So pick number one on the board here. I think this is one where I get the hype, new coach, ascending young quarterback, and the division, there's weak spots. You see opportunities, say, okay, like I can buy this team making a big leap. The number they have here, though, is too big on the New England Patriots. I'm going under 8.5 wins because to me, yes, Mike Vrabel's a big upgrade over the present situation they had last year at Gerard Mayo. Yes, Drake May should get better in year two. Will Campbell is like to be a stud on the line. Diggs should help, but even with the AFC East, my team being a disaster potentially, the Dolphins, who knows? Going from 4 wins to 9 wins is a big jump. I don't know if they're ready for that yet. They still have a lot of flaws. So even if they improve by 3 wins or 4 wins, I still win the bet. So I'm going to take the under on the Patriots here, 8.5.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. I think everyone is buying into that culture shift that is happening in New England. Uh, may we call it Bill Belichick 2.0 without it being Bill Belichick, right? So I think, the homecoming of Vrabel is finally back where he belongs. There's a lot of hype there, and you saw a lot of good from Drake May. I still think there are so many flaws within that offense that kind of helps Drake May get to that next level.
Yeah, I think he's going to get there, but I don't know if it's this year. I think that there's still the AFC is also extremely competitive.
And again, like you said, even with a weak Jets team, a who knows Dolphins team, you have Buffalo, who is going to be the cream of the crop there once again. I mean, you're still going to be fighting in your division. Like the Jet Patriot games are not easy games by all means. The in division games are always could always be a toss up, minus that Buffalo being so much more superior than everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. So that's my first pick. Joe, where are you going with your first pick here?
Okay, my first pick, I'm going to go with an under.
Okay.
All right, I'm taking the Lions under 10 and a half.
Okay.
Okay. The thought process behind this is we are finally going to see the mastermind of the Lions. Okay, what I mean by that, is it Dan Campbell or was it the combination of Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn? This is a very unique opportunity in a season, in my opinion, for the Lions to really kind of cement that they're here and they belong with the top teams, or they really flourished under the creativity of both of their coordinators who have got both moved on.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting spot here. And like obviously, like anytime you see a team lose two coordinators, that's definitely a big concern in terms of like you're projecting the total here. Plus, the division is still strong. Like the Vikings, if you aren't sure about JJ McCarthy, have a strong supporting cast at the quarterback. Your team is pretty good. The Packers, the Bears should get better with Ben Johnson going there. So like going from like, and this is again, this team won 15 games last year and cratered in the playoffs. So you wonder like, does there a little bit of a hangover there?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's also it'll be interesting to see, like I mentioned, who is going to get that. praise? Who is going to be the reason why the Lions were as successful as they were? Is it going to be the coordinators and what they did and how they shaped that offense and defense, or is it going to be Dan Campbell? And that's no disrespect to Dan Campbell. I think is a great head coach, but again, two coordinator changes, that's a lot of change happening in an offseason.
Yeah, I remember the great Bill Parcells once said, you don't want to have to coach the coaches. He might have to coach some coaches this year.
It definitely will not be easy, and that's why I think that we could see a little bit of a step back for the Lions this year.
All right, so you have one under on the board. Where are you going next?
Next one, I'm going over.
Okay.
I'm going over for the Pittsburgh Steelers over 8.5.
Oh, so you're in on Aaron Rodgers.
Partially, partially. And here's the thought process behind this. Aaron Rodgers is now going into a situation in which he should have been going into when he first became the quarterback of the New York Jets. What I mean by that is Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career, does not need to be vintage Aaron Rodgers. As long as a strong, disciplined defense is around him, if he puts up the numbers that he put up last season with the Jets, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
They're going to win 10 games. Right? I think when Rodgers first came to New York, the expectation it was, hey, let's run the ball. Yes, he could throw it obviously, but let's depend on the defense. The Steelers have that defense. The Steelers have that strength that the Jets just, I don't know where it went or what happened to it. It just never existed. I think for Rodgers, he doesn't have to be everything in this situation. It's a unique situation, and I think the Steelers are gonna reap the benefit from it.
Yeah, obviously, considering Mike Tomlin's track record here of never finishing below 500 here, if he does that again, you win the bet. So that's a solid play there with the defense and the supporting cast. Like, I just can't go near Aaron Rodgers again. I'm going nowhere near the Steelers this year.
And I totally get that, but again, we're not saying Aaron Rodgers is going to win 12 games.
Yeah.
Again, you look at his numbers last year. As a Jet fan, are you expecting those numbers or Justin Fields to pull off those numbers?
No.
Because I don't think that's happening.
No, I think also like the question with me with the Pittsburgh situation is like how much is Rodgers going to put the ego aside now? Because there was a lot of times last year he was checking out of runs to throw the ball more. Like he wanted everything run his way. We'll see like if the experience is sort of like maybe going from solid to Mike Tomlin sort of gets him in his mind, okay, like I don't have to be in charge here. I'll just be one of the guys.
I'd like to think, and I obviously have no inside information or no, but I'd like to think there's a different level of respect that Mike Tomlin is getting being in
Yeah.
that same room with Aaron Rodgers compared to what, he dealt with Rob Sal.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I'm up now here. I'm gonna go with my first over here, and this is a team that I feel like gets like disrespected still when they have a track record, and there was not that much personnel change here aside from a coordinator leaving. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Bucks over 9.5 wins because this is a team that's won the NFC South like 4 years running. They have a quarterback in Baker Mayfield is playing well. I know there's receiver injuries, but from everything I've heard, Emeka Ibuka sounds like he's been crushing it at camp and will fill in nicely for Chris Godwin. Like that division is a little better, but Tampa Bay wins about 10 games a year. The total is 9.5 here. I feel like they're going to win 10 at least and win the division again. So, like, give me the Bucks over.
Yeah, I kind of like that, especially the leap that we've seen from Baker Mayfield. You see that offense kind of clicking, and there's weapons all over the place, whether it's the veteran in Mike Evans that's still putting up insane numbers, and then the young core that they're kind of building behind the scenes. You also are got to be encouraged with the run game and Bucky Irving and what he produced early on. So a lot to look forward to in Tampa as long as Baker kind of continues to do what he did last year.
All right, that sounds good to me. So we each got one over, one under here. Joe, where are you going next?
I am gonna stay at the under,
Okay.
and I'm gonna stay with the line within the Lions division in the NFC North. and I'm taking the Bears under 8.5.
Love that one.
The fact of the matter is there's still so much uncertainty at that quarterback position with Caleb Williams, and that's a huge red flag. Like that is a huge red flag in my opinion, to the point where it's like, hey, did we mess this up again? Right. And I think we are starting to see that. It's funny. We were talking about the lines and Ben Johnson earlier. I don't know if you've seen like the memes of him, day one of becoming the Bears coach, and then images that have like circulated now where he looks like a completely new man, like a different person, like as if someone took over his body, and how difficult of a job this really is. Um, I still think the Bears are a cluster. And without a quarterback, and I always say this, you're only going to be so good. And the fact that they can't figure this position out, and the fact that they just invested, the number one overall pick on a guy that they're like, wait a second, this he may not be the guy, and he's still struggling tremendously. That's a huge red flag for a team that could potentially win, or is, slated to win 9 games. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and I've been on the record with friends on the off the air. I think bringing on the air too here. Like, I've been skeptical that Ben Johnson will be a good head coach. Like, I am convinced he's one of those guys where like he's a brilliant coordinator and he's great designing an offense, but I don't know if he can run the whole team. And Chicago needs a guy who can run the whole team.
And there is nothing wrong with that, by the way. There
No,
are plenty of successful coordinators that are just not cut to be a head coach. And that's fine. But the only way to figure that out is actually going out and doing it. So it will be a good test for Ben Johnson. But like I said, it's, whether it was Ben Johnson or anyone before him, when it comes to Caleb Williams, if you're just not that good, it's going to be really hard to fix.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Ben Johnson like photos here. It reminded you of the one I saw going around like social media a few weeks ago, the Kyle Shanahan stuff, like from 2018 on the 17 on the screen here to 2025. That's two different people.
I mean, I don't know how true this could potentially be, but I mean, there are rumors floating around that, could Caleb Williams potentially at some point get benched this season? Like, I
That's
mean, if that's what we're talking about, and of course at this point, we're all gearing up for football, a lot of clickbait, I'm obviously not there. I don't know, but if that's what we're talking about right now as potential conversations that are being had, like that's a huge concern.
is a huge concern. And speaking of huge concerns, I'm going to go with a very popular team last year that made a very surprising run. There's a little bit of drama in the offseason with them. I'm going with the under on the Commanders at 9.5 wins. So I feel like this is a spot where, you had the whole Terry McLaurin hold-in drama. They reshaped the whole offensive line. Their schedule's going to get a lot harder. And a lot of the times, we saw as the Texans last year, CJ Stroud, like sometimes the big first year does not equal a huge second year. Sometimes the league adjusts to you. Sometimes you have, like teams figure out your priorities. You have to adjust again. They had a lot of good health last year. You can't guarantee that again either here. And I feel like it was easier for them last year to be the hunter, where nobody expected them to be coming, and then all of a sudden you turn around, they're in the NFC Championship game. Now you got expectations, you got all these primetime games, a lot more attention. Like, I feel like this might be a year where they go one step back, they go two steps forward in 2026. So I'm going to go under on the Commanders.
Mike, this was one that I didn't want to touch because of that. I could easily see this team going 2 steps forward. I could easily see them going 2 steps back.
Yeah,
Like it is so up in the air that I'm still taken aback of their success from last season.
yeah,
And that's not taking away from Jaden Daniels and what he's been able to do, but we've often seen these quarterbacks, um, you know, other teams figure it out. I mean, a perfect example of this, CJ Stroud,
yeah.
right, in the Houston Texans. Like that's a team that this year I think could bounce back, and CJ Stroud could get back to where, we saw him at I don't want to say his height, but playing at a really high level. The thing with Jaden Daniels is, you know, and the Commanders in general is they have a really strong skill set. And I think obviously with things clearing up with Terry McLaurin. I think that only helps, right? They brought in Debo Samuel. I don't care that he's old; he's still effective,
Yeah.
right? So there are weapons there, um, and I could easily see what you just said that hey, they take a step back, people figured it out, or I could also see them just being consistent 11-12 team win for the next couple of years.
Yeah, at least you can see what happens to them here, Joe. So you're up again. You got two unders, one over so far.
Correct. Um, I'm gonna go over,
Okay.
even it out. I'm gonna go Chargers over 9.5.
Okay.
The LA Chargers, I think, continue to make steady progression under Harbaugh, and I just think we're entering a time where we are going to now see that consistency, that they become the 10, 11 win team that they have been, right? Where that period of time was a huge drop off, but they've officially now built their identity under the style that Harbaugh wants. And I think we're only going to continue to see that. I also think that there'll be less pressure on Justin Herbert of having to be the guy and then being able to kind of rely on a run game, rely on a strong offensive line that'll kind of relax Herbert in a way that we'll see him kind of take a step forward. Again, I just think they've officially entered that era of building an identity of who they should be and the style that they want to play. And yeah, it takes time, but I think we're here with the Chargers.
Yeah, I get all your arguments. I can definitely see the logic here. The one thing that maybe stay away from this and even lean a little under, I think losing the left tackle really hurts this team. I know Joe All can slide there, but I think like for a team built on the offensive line, losing one of the best left tackles in the league for the season is a problem.
It's a huge problem. But again, I think they have so much faith in all that he'll be able to kind of, not instantaneously make it better, but or sustain it. I think it's more about sustainability at this point. And like I said, I think Harbaugh is an incredible coach. And if there's one team that players are going to kind of put it all out on the line for, it's a guy like him.
All right, so I'll follow your lead. I'll go with another over here. I'm going to stay in the division. I'm going to take the Broncos over 9.5. And I feel like this is one of those teams where, like, I feel like everybody look at the flashy, oh, we brought in all of these guys and we made such a big thing. I think continuity gets underrated when you look at the over-under game. And Denver's a lot of continuity here. They do bring in a tight end, Evan Ingram. They bring in another running back in here. But, like, the core of that defense, which is one of the best in the league, is still together. Bo Nix here will get a little better year two. Even though he's not going to be like a fantasy superstar, I feel like he could be a guy you win with in the league. And I think like they gained some confidence down the stretch, that playoff run, beating the Chief backups and that streak here. Like I feel like 9.5, which is about what they won last year, is low. I feel like Sean Payton is another leap here. I think I go over on the Broncos.
It's interesting. This is another one that, similar to the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. Are we taking the next step or are we going a little bit backwards? And for whatever reason, I'm still not sold on Bo Nix, right? I'm still not sold on him being that guy. And if he has a mediocre season, they don't reach this over.
Yes, that's fair.
They, they don't reach that number. So, and that doesn't mean I'm saying like he's going to drop off and be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, right? But if he has a mid-level year, it's such a significant drop off that you may not hit that number. With that being said, I'm with Sean Payne's another mastermind, right? Guys want to play for him. He could develop guys. He develops quarterbacks. He has that history in him. I could see that happening as well.
All right, so you have two picks left here, an over and an under left here. What do you want to close out first?
All right, I'll close out the unders.
Okay.
Falcons under 7.5.
Oh, so you're down on Penix.
I mean, I just don't know, right? What has Penix done for you right now that would make you feel comfortable going to 8?
Fair
If
question.
I'm throwing,
Only played 3 games.
there's just such a small sample size that I feel more comfortable leaning towards the under rather than going than anything if I'm talking about the Falcons. I still think they're trying to figure out, is Penix the guy? You don't know with the small sample size. You have Kirk Cousins still around, but I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Kirk Cousins is, the Kirk Cousins that he once was. So, It'll be really interesting. Again, it's just another team that I think is trying to figure it out at the QB position. And if you end up going Penix Cousins and it's a kind of a back and forth and a volley in the middle of the season, then you're doomed.
Yeah, it's just they old. If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one problem.
Bingo, bingo. You nailed it, right? You have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, right? It's a one player position, not a juggling act. At least not in the NFL, right? It's not college where, hey, I got a runner and I got a thrower and I can mix things up.
Yeah,
It doesn't work that way at that pro level.
yeah. Plus, like, I don't think aside from the Jets, there may not be a bigger underachiever the last few years than Atlanta is.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like expectations have been sky high for a team that has great skill position players. You got a young running back, you got young wide receiver, a young tight end who is the biggest fantasy bust in the world, and Kyle Pitts. And I don't want to even, I can't believe I even mentioned his name, but it's just the talent's there.
Yeah, the talent is there with that group here. And call me a sucker. I'm buying the Aaron Glenn thing. I'm going to take the Jet over 5.5.
I mean, you are beyond the sucker.
Yeah. I will say this, like what I've seen and heard from Aaron Glenn in terms of promoting accountability with this team and, like enforcing things that we've heard the players say, like he's coaching us how we should have been coached under Saleh. And like a lot of that's come out like we need more discipline. We're more working on tackling and fundamentals here. I think like I guess the quarterback is a big question with the Jets. I understand that. I think the core of the rest of the roster is not as bad as being made out to be. You have some star players under contract long term with Sauce and Wilson and Quinn Williams. I think the offensive line is pretty good. And you look at the Jets schedule in terms of who they play, the back of their schedule is not bad in terms of accessibility. This feels like a team where I could see, okay, maybe you're 3-5 at the bye week, but then you go back down the stretch. You're playing the Browns, you're playing the Saints, you're playing Jacksonville. Like you have opportunities to win football games down the stretch here. Like this team, a lot of people think is going to be like a 4-win team. I could see this being a 6 or 7 win team. Like I think safely. I'm going to take the over on the Jets here. I think Aaron Glenn builds the culture here, sort of like how Campbell did with Detroit year one.
So there's no doubt in my mind that there's been a culture shift.
Yeah,
Right? But it comes to a point where what do we expect the players to say?
yeah,
Right? Like obviously it's different. You're not going to have a guy come out and be like, "Oh, we're being coached the same." That would create a fire in New York if a player came out there and said something like that, right? But what I'm getting to is Aaron Glenn right now is doing, saying, and acting the way that he should be acting, doing, say.
yeah,
He is doing all the right things that are making him potentially be the next big coach without actually coaching a game that
yeah.
matters, right? So, kudos to him for doing what he should be doing and for buying the hype. Now, again, 5 wins is not a lot of wins.
No, 5.5 is not a lot.
I mean, 5.5 is not a lot. So again, can they sneak a few games here and there and probably get there? Yeah, but there is so much uncertainty going into the season with Justin Fields as your quarterback. Like again, I'm not a Jets fan, but when I look at Justin Fields, if he was something, he wouldn't be going on to what, his third team right now?
Correct.
That's a red flag.
It is a red flag. My point is more, I think the supporting cast is going to be good enough to win games, like in spite of him at points. And like some of the teams they play, I admit the first 6 games are very brutal for the Jets. But you go past that, they have Carolina, Cleveland, New England twice. You think they'll split that series somewhere. Atlanta and Miami coming north in November, December. They don't play well in that situation. They go to New Orleans. Like there are opportunities there to scoop up wins in the back end if your team's improving.
Listen, I get it. And when you're looking at the schedule game before the season starts, it's easy to kind of say bing, bang, boom, win, loss, tie, split, whatever you want to say, right? Yeah, it's based off of, of last year and what the expectations are. But again, an injury happens here or there, the first couple of weeks, that flips everything upside down. To me, I just think it's too yucky. I'm not going to touch that.
That's fair.
And that's what the Jets have kind of. have been over the what feels like the last decade at this point.
All right, absolutely. Last pick for you. It's an over. So what's your last over?
Okay, so this is kind of this is my least confident, but a little bit bolder.
Okay.
I'm going Panthers over 6.5.
Oh, so you're in on Bryce Young.
I am in on Bryce Young, but I'm more in on Dave Canales and the coaching staff over in Carolina. I think it has a little bit less to do with Bryce Young and creative ways that they're going to help Bryce Young continue to improve and continue to make plays that he needs to play. I think that's also a very young core of weapons and skill position players that he has that are actually performing better than kind of those young skill position players, or the expectations at least are higher for those skill players than a team similar to like Atlanta. I think the NFC South is really outside of the Bucks. Who the hell knows,
Yeah,
right?
a land of opportunity over there.
Land of opportunity over there. So, I mean, you never know with the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be poor, so you could easily take two there. You split one with the Falcons. Maybe you get one lucky one with the Bucks, and right there you're cooking,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, again, this is probably my least confident, but I think that they're creating a team, and Dave Canales, another younger, newer coach that is building a culture that people are buying into.
Yeah, I mean, you also look at the Carolina situation here. I mean, like they're playing, for example, like they're playing the AFC East, and like we talk about the question that three of those teams in the division have between the Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets. You're a Panther backer. You say, "Oh, I can win two of those games."
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. I mean, the rest of the schedule definitely not easy, but sometimes these teams, you get tested, you play against these tested teams early and then you don't know, what happens after that. I mean, could they take week 1 against the Jags? Why not?
yeah,
Week 2 against Arizona, why not?
yeah. If you look,
Week, I mean, I'm not saying obviously anything could happen, right, Mike? But when you look at the first 4 games, Jags, Cardinals, Falcons, Patriots, there is a legit possibility that you could go 4-0. That doesn't mean that you're a playoff team by all means, right? I'm not saying that, but like there's an opportunity there for that to happen. There's
I
a
would go, yeah, I would go even further. I think if you go like the first seven, whether it's like those four games you mentioned, then Miami, Dallas, home at the Jets, like there's a realistic scenario here where you're like 4-3 and you're on the in the hunt rack for the rest of the season.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and then you pick a team here or there, and you don't know. So, um, again, like I mentioned, not one that I'm like uber confident about, but like looking at the beginning of their stretch and how they kind of finished off, it could be a oh wow, that was a very good value there.
Yeah, I think that's a good value here. I think my last pick here, I'm going to go my final under here. You mentioned them a minute ago. I don't see any hope for the Saints this year. I'm going under the 5.5 with them because to me, like you look at the situation, they finally realize, okay, we need to stop kicking the cap can to 2037 and just like start taking our medicine to rebuild this team here. They got rid of a bunch of guys. The kid they took in the second round for Derek Carr couldn't be out Spencer Rattler, a quarterback. That's a problem, in my opinion, here. And you're supposed to be looking at this guy. They're set up here at their schedule to start the season here. Arizona, San Francisco, at Seattle, at Buffalo could easily be 0-4, and it starts a death spiral for this team. I feel like there's a situation here where Kellen Moore's got the luxury to look at young guys and get evaluation periods in once they start finding themselves out of the race early here. I think this is a spot where like New Orleans like might be sitting there in December hoping Arch Manning changes his mind and comes out and goes and is available for them at number one.
Yeah, this is either going to be a situation where we're all surprised at the play that we get at quarterback and nobody knew this was
Yeah.
coming, or a complete dumpster fire. And there's nothing in between. Like I this could be tragic for the Saints, you
Yeah.
know. But like I said though, it could be a huge surprise on the flip side too, that they're like, whoa, like nobody expected this type of quarterback play, no matter who ends up getting that nod or what they end up doing at that position. But I'm kind of with you that I could easily see them lobbying and could be looking for that franchise guy next year.
Because the way I look at it here is like everybody is bashing the Browns for like they don't know what they're doing, they're tanking, they're going to be terrible. The Browns' hope is, hey, we have two first round picks this year. We can go trade up for the guy we want here. Like the Saints, I don't see it.
Yeah, well, the one thing that I will say that you mentioned the Browns is like how often have we seen them at this point, right? If
Yeah,
the Browns hit on the picks that they've had, the Browns should be a consistent playoff team, and it just doesn't happen.
no.
Like it just doesn't happen. So like even though yeah, you have two first round picks, like my biggest fear is them finding a way to kind of mess that up again, like they've messed up year after year after year.
All right, so let's reset what we did here on the picks boards here. Joe took the Lions under 10.5, the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers over 8.5, the Bears and Ben Johnson under 8.5, Chargers over 9.5, Falcons under 7.5, and the Panthers over 6.5. So interesting picks there. My picks: New England under 8.5, the Bucks over 9.5, the Commanders under 9.5, Broncos over 9.5. Jets over 5.5 and the Saints under 5.5. So we pretty much spread the board here. Like I think the highest total we touched was 10.5 for you.
Yeah, we kind of spread it. We spread it around. A couple teams, and I don't know if you had a couple that you were like contemplating with.
Yeah, I had a few.
One of them for me with the under at least, the 49ers 10.5.
Yeah, so many receiver injuries for them.
Yeah, I mean, so many receiver injuries. Um, I think that window is starting to close.
Yeah.
I think we're approaching that period of time where they had their opportunity, they had their dominance, and that window is looking at it could close sooner rather than later. Another team that I'm kind of interested in, and I just have no idea, the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, I think Dak Prescott will improve and had a horrible year, but I could see Dallas kind of getting back in the mix of things.
I hate that Parsons situation for them though, how that's played out.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely not playing out the way that it should. Or, you lose a centerpiece like that. But at the same time, I mean, look at how much time he's also spent on the sidelines.
Yeah,
And
it's
because
certainly
of injury. It's tricky. But that's another team that, hey, could they figure out a way to win 9 games? Maybe.
I'll throw out a couple of considerations I had on the board here. The underside, I have the Texans under 9.5 as a consideration because the offensive line is so bad, but I didn't touch it because of the division.
Yep.
Jaguars I had consideration for over 7.5 because I feel like if Liam Cohen knows what he's doing offensively, can unlock Trevor Lawrence, you can beat that win total if Hunter is as dynamic a player as I think he can be. And I think another continuity pick, the Rams over 9.5. I know Stafford's back is why I didn't touch it, but I feel like if he's on the field, they're winning 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be, they also added Devontae Adams. Like he could still definitely produce. So
Yeah. One last thing before I let you run here. We neither of us touched the Giants win total. The Giants are at 6.5 and 5.5 with the Jets entering the season here. And the Giants notoriously most difficult schedule in the league this season, especially like the first 8 games or so. Like if you had to lean one way or the Giants, where would you go?
what's the number?
5.5, same as the Jets.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning under.
Yeah.
But they always know what they're doing because like I giggle because I see them in that 4 to 6 range. Like I think that's a safe spot to put them in. Um, and the one thing that I'd say about the Giants is despite everyone being so happy with the progress and what they've seen out of Jackson Dart, which is great, I think the biggest disservice that they could do to Jackson Dart is throwing him in this season.
Yeah. I
I I really don't think it's the move. There's no reason. Um, you throw him in there to what, become a 7-win team or a 6-win team. Like it doesn't do anything for his development. Now, if Russell Wilson gets hurt, if Jameis Winston, that's a different story. But if those two quarterbacks are just playing so poorly and that the fans are just like losing their mind, to throw him in, I think actually hurts.
I think the thing that would scare me if I'm a Giant backer is just like the misalignment between the regime, which has to win right now. And we heard the owner last year say, I'm very disappointed. I want results. And then you have this rookie quarterback who, like, he's either going to be forced to be the savior at some point of the season, or his coaches get fired to learn a new system year two. Whereas like the Jet situation, yes, you don't have a quarterback, but the organization is all aligned at this point. The Giants feel like they're in three different timelines, and none of them will stick together.
No, I know, and that's what makes this Giant situation a little bit more complicated. But I think throwing him out there would be a huge mistake.
Yeah, I know. We heard like I know like I don't know how people Giant fans watch the pregame on the Prime broadcast. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick said, as good as he's looked in the preseason, there are still mechanical things he needs to fix if he succeed at this NFL level. And like I know Fitz not the greatest NFL quarterback. He played in the league for a long time. I think he knows what he's talking about.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but like way too often are we seeing these college kids, whether they're ready or not, kind of be thrown into the fire.
Anthony Richardson.
Perfect example.
Yep.
Like Anthony Richardson could not be more irrelevant at this point, and it could and it's could partially be mechanics and him as a player, but also just not being surrounded by the help that he needed.
Yep.
Like it's that simple. I mean, like I think Aaron Rodgers is an extreme example.
Yeah.
Is Aaron Rodgers the quarterback that he is without sitting? And I'm not saying you have to sit that long. I don't know. I honestly I don't know, but I think sitting serves a tremendous purpose. And I know there's a timeline, and I know owners and GMs, especially owners at least, they want to see results.
Yeah.
They want to see people in the stadium. So I feel that pressure. But at some point, I hope there have been some sort of conversations behind the scenes that have said, we cannot rush this kid on the field.
Yeah. The thing you
And
work
the transparency of like, hey, if we get fired, the next guy that comes in may hate Jackson Dart.
yes.
So by the way, I don't think we should have as short of a leash as everybody else is portraying. We didn't draft Jackson Dart to play him this year. I mean, and that's what makes me believe that although the leash is short, that the Giants regime still has at least a couple years. Because there's no way that they went into it saying, we're drafting Jackson Dart, he's going to start, he's going to save our jobs, and he's going to play this year. There's got to be some sort of, hey, let us develop it. Let's see how we do. We're probably going to be in that 6-win range. If we didn't have these two veteran quarterbacks and we threw Jackson Dart in, we'd probably be in that 4-win range. Like, so I think it's a delicate situation in New York, and everyone, the seat's hot for everyone at this point.
I totally agree that the regime standpoint is, hey, like we believe in this kid. Give us a chance to develop. Maybe if this year is rough, like we think he can be the key to the future. The thing you worry about here is Mara seeing, them start like 2-7, have a bunch of empty seats around Thanksgiving, and say, I'm tired of this. We're allowing to just fire everybody.
I mean, that would be brash. I wouldn't. Could that happen? Sure, but I'd like to believe that they got some sort of security, some sort of backing behind this all.
You would hope.
Yeah, you would hope, right? I have no idea. You would hope, but you know, if I'm Mara, I know that this kid isn't saving us right now, but this kid could save us in maybe 2 or 3 years. Like that's the reality of it. But you also have to know that if I can these guys, the next group that comes in, maybe it's a system that doesn't work. Maybe maybe they don't like him as a quarterback. Then you're starting all over again. You're back to, drafting in the top five, and it just never ends.
And I can't remember the example of like the recent young quarterback who had a system change year one or year two and then became a successful guy in the league. I can't think of that guy.
No, it's tough. It's tough. And I mean, even some of the quarterbacks, like I'm a huge, Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
I think you throw Brock Purdy someplace else, it's not going to look as pretty as it does in San Fran.
no.
Now, that's, so same thing like Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold in Seattle is a very interesting situation,
Yeah.
right? Like, could he do what he did in Minnesota? Maybe. I just don't see it happening. He doesn't have the weapons. He
No.
doesn't have the skill position, the skill set. So, well, we'll see.
We'll see, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow you on social media, how can I do that?
Mike, they could give me a shout on X at Joe double underscore Daloisil.
You do not forget that double. You will not find him otherwise.
You won't find me. You won't find me. I'll probably have some hot takes as the NFL season starts. Curse at my Green Bay Packers, but hey, it is what it is.